Today's video, I'm going to try to keep it short as possible, and we're just going to go over frequency separation. If you would like to see the final photos from this photo shoot, follow me on Instagram at @IamChatStrong. What is frequency separation? It's just a form of retouching that photographers use to, of course, retouch their images. It's a way of blending your skin tones without destroying your skin texture. As far as editing and color grading and all that, that's for another video. If you would like to see a video of my color grading or for edit, comment below and let me know. But right now, we're going to jump right into that frequency separation. So the first step of your frequency separation, you want to make sure you start with a pretty clean image. If we zoom into our image right now, this was taken with the Sony A7R2. It's a pretty older camera, probably like 9, almost 10 years old. I think it came out in 2015, but it's still pretty good. And as you can see, I can zoom in pretty close to my image, and you can see it's intact, it's sharp. All the details, you can see all her skin texture, you can see the catch lights in her eyes. We got a pretty great image to start off with. The reason I say that, because if you zoom into your image and you notice that it's either not sharp or your photo wasn't in focus. If the photo isn't in focus and if it's blurry, it's not really, my opinion, not a great photo to start off with, because pretty much what you're going to do is add on smoothness. So the sharper the image, to me, the better. And that's why you would tend to see this process on your portrait photograph. This is a full body portrait. You won't see it as much, but I still like to do it. And I really like this photo and think it'll be a great example to use it on. But I think I'm rambling, so let's get straight to it. So first thing, you want to make sure you have a clean image to start off with. So we got a clean image. You always want to go through and clean up your image, and that just remove any like spots, bumps, blemishes, anything that you would deem removable. So you just want to clean your image up. The better you clean your image, the better your frequency separation or the process is going to go for you. All right, so once you clean up your image, now you're ready to create your frequency separation. We're gonna start our frequency separation by opening our image in Photoshop. Over here, you have your original image. You wanna create 2 layers. One of the layers we're gonna create is gonna be for the skin texture, and the other layer is gonna be for your skin tones. So on the Mac, press Command J twice, and it'll create a layer for you in a copy layer. The first layer is gonna be our skin tones, so we'll name it skin tones. The second layer is going to be a skin texture, which we'll name skin texture. I rarely use this layer. You can use it to edit your skin textures, but I rarely use it. But you still have to create it though, because you have to separate the 2 layers in order to do this process. All right, so now you got your 2 layers. You got your skin tones and your textures, but they're not separated yet. So these 2 copies, your first copy, your skin tones, we're going to go ahead and create the settings for it. So click on it and go up to here where it says filters. On your filter, scroll down to blur. On blur, go to Gaussian blur. Click on it. Once you click on Gaussian blur, you see this little square box appear. If you click on that square box, you can see a magnified version of your image. So click on it and try to pick the spot that has the most detail. And I already know it's right here from when I was cleaning my image up. If you tend to shoot like I do and a lot of other photographers, yeah, the eyes are like the center focus. So a lot of times when you focus your image, you always want to try to keep the eyes as sharp as possible. Once you find the most detailed part of your image, you go down here to where it says radius and you crank it up until you start to lose detail in your photo. For tutorial purposes, I'm going to overdo this image just so you can see the effects. So if you go too much, this is way too much blur. You don't want to do that. I'm going to go around an 8. Probably a little tad bit too much, but you can always tweak it at the end and I'll show you. But I'm gonna do an 8, press OK. So now we have our skin tones and we done with that for right now. So now we're about to go to the skin textures and we're gonna create the settings for that. Click on skin textures, go over here to image, go to apply image. Once you go to apply image, where it says merge, you're gonna merge this layer, which is your skin texture, with your skin tones. So click on skin tones. The channel, keep it at RGB. Your inverted box, keep it unchecked. All these boxes that are unchecked, keep them unchecked. If they're already checked, go ahead and uncheck them. And where it says blending, this is important. You want to go to subtract On opacity, keep it at 100. Your preserved transparency and mask box, keep those two unchecked. If they're checked, uncheck them. For your scale, put 2. And for your offset, you're going to put 128. This is just the general rule or the general settings when creating your frequency separation actions. I don't know why. This is just what the settings is. Press OK, and you'll get this gray screen, or your image will turn gray. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. Go over here to your blending mode box. Click the drop down menu. Scroll down to linear light. Once you find it, click on it, and that should fix it. Now your skin texture layer is done and you're separated to 2. If you want to see what the textures look like, I will show you. So this is what it look like with only the skin textures. You see it gets really sharp. This is what it looks like without the skin textures and just your blur. These 2 layers are separated, so now you can edit on each layer individually. But we have one more step. We're gonna group these 2 together. You're gonna do that by clicking on one of the selection. We'll click on skin texture, hold the shift button, then click on your skin tones, then go down here to this folder icon, click on it, and that will automatically group them together for you. And just for the sake of it, we'll go ahead and name this, and we would name it frequency separation. So there you have it. You have your frequency separation action created. That's all you have to do to create that action. So when you watch my videos and you see me doing the skin smoothing or using that tool, which we're about to get to, this is how I create that action. So we have one more step though before we get to that. We're going to click the drop down menu on that folder that we just created with our frequency separation in it, and you're going to click on skin tone. Go to the lasso tool over here on the left toolbar, click on it. Once you click on it, up here where it says feather, we're going to change it from 0 to 32. Press enter, and I'll show you why. If I zoom in, and then we create a circle. First, let me show you what it looked like at 0. So at 0, if you hit Shift Q on your keyboard, as you can see, you have a really defined line right here. We don't want that. So hit Shift Q again and go change your feather to 32. Now we're going to do it again, create a circle and hit Shift Q. And as you can see, that line is no longer as defined. It has a very smooth transition where it's feathering off. And that's what we want. So when we start our frequency separation, you don't have just this harsh line or intersection where your blending is taking place. It would create a better blend. I'm probably not using the right wording, but we're going to hit Shift Q. And now we can start our frequency separation. So that's all you have to do. That's it. That's the process. That's pretty much it. The only advice I would add from this point on, is make sure that you do small parts at a time. Do not do large parts at a time. I'm going to show you what happens when you do very large parts at a time. You'll get a very flat pastel look. All right, I'm sorry, jumped ahead. First, let me show you how to use your frequency separation. So you want to go over areas, small areas at a time. And I'm going to tell you why you don't want to do large areas in just a second. But first, let me show you how to use your frequency separation. So you can just go over areas, try to do small areas where the skin tones are starting to change and meet up. Right here, it's a different skin tone. Boom, we just do this. And you really want to take your time with this. Don't rush it. The more time you spend with it, the better outcome. You try to rush it, you're going to come out with a rush image, and that's not what you want to do. All right. Also, you don't want to do too much. You do too much, it'll look fake. And what I mean by too much, on this radius bar, you can change it. You can change your settings throughout the process, because this here is your frequency separation action. You create it, so now you can adjust it as you go along. And sometimes for different areas, I may increase it. You see how that changed? But if you go too dramatic, the skin tones will start to bleed into each other. Another key tip to remember, you don't want to do large areas at a time. And this is the reason why. If you do a large area at a time, you see how it's all beginning to look kind of fake? That's not what you want. You don't want that. And it's okay, because when I first started out and I was kind of learning on my own, trial and error, I used to do this all the time. And another key point, try not to go over like detailed areas like right here, especially if it's like lines and stuff. So that's why I like to zoom in. So where it's like lines, I zoom in and try not to go directly over lines, because this is what will happen. Your image will look flat So when you see images online and you wonder like something looks off about this photo and you can't quite put your finger on it, 9 times out of 10, this is probably what it is, overly processed. And as you can see, when we do this, you lose a lot of your vibrance in your photo. Even when you zoom in and do small parts, it still kind of makes your photo look a little flatter than what it originally does. And that's where your dodge and burn come to play. We're not going to do that today. If you would like to see a dodge and burn video, comment below. Let me know what video y'all would like to see next. Boom, as you can see, that look flat. We don't want that because as you can see, when you zoom back, it looks pretty fake. So we don't want any of that. So I'm just removing all of that and I'm going to start fresh and do little bits at a time. And that's pretty much it. Your frequency separation. If you want to stick around, watch the rest of the video. I'll speed it up and let you see the final outcome, the before and after. If you'd like to try this technique, go ahead, save this video, follow along. If you have any questions, comment, let me know. I will try my best to explain. And again, it's trial and error. The more you do it, the more you refine your technique and the better it will become. And it's all about your liking. So play around with it, find out what you like. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you like it, please like, leave a comment. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Peace. Oh, and one last thing. When you finish your frequency separation, if you feel like you done too much, it's not too late to fix it. Come over here to where your folder, if you have it separated, just click on the drop down arrow and click on the folder. And right here where it says opacity, you can adjust it. If you overdid it or you feel like you overdid the frequency separation, just go up here to your opacity and change it. You can even start from 0 and work your way back up. Before, after. And again, all you really want to do, you want to make it look subtle. You don't want it to look overly processed. The goal is to make it look natural. You just cleaning up the skin, making it look flawless. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Go ahead and finish up the rest of this photo. I'm gonna add some color grading into it. I'm gonna do a little blending with the mixer brush and some dodge and burn. And I'll show you the final image, the before and after. For more content like this, follow me on Instagram and Facebook at I am Chad Strong.